And
I do, Stuart.
yes.
I was thinking about what you shared about Rudi and the story with his mother. And I was wondering I'm wondering if how Rudi dealt with not receiving love from his mother. And in other words, I'm wondering, did he let go of the need of love from his mother and instead take love from higher energy and then give love to his mother without
All of the
requiring?
above. All of the above. Look, Rudi loved his mother. He told me on so many occasions, she's the vehicle through which I came into the world. And he also told me that you have to always, find unconditional love for your parents and for your children. And he told me that his mother, I knew his mother. She was a very dear friend of mine. And she was very tough. She was raised in Brooklyn, spent most of her 20s and 30s hanging out with mafia and nightclubs. I think she was a showgirl. She was a very tough lady. She once came up to me and said, "You get your energy from God, I get my energy from diamonds." And what am I going to do? Get upset at her? I started to laugh. But through everything, she took care of Rudi. She lost it occasionally. He was 2 years old. She kicked him down a flight of steps. He cracked open his head. He had to spend 6 months in the hospital. But he was able to overcome that. And he knew that he would never get his enlightenment if he didn't learn to forgive his mother. And he got very strong. He'd come back from India with all kinds of precious gems and jewelry for her. And it was an incredible thing to watch. And she was not easy, Ray. She was not an easy person. And yet, at the same time, in my own relationship with her, friendship with her, she went out of the way to take care of me. She was the reason why I moved back to New York. I made it possible for me to move. Please try and sit still. Hello? Try and sit still, because if you're moving, it really disrupts the energy. I can tell you some funny stories. She called me up, Rudi's mother, and said, "How would you like to buy a couple of truckloads of art for me?" This is after Rudi passed on. She was running his gallery. And I said to her, "Ray, you know where I live? I'm living in the middle of Baptist America. These people are all rednecks, and what am I going to do with Hindu and Buddhist art down here?" She said, "Think about it." So I thought about it for 5 minutes, called her back and said, "I'll do it." It was like a miracle. It was like the same miracle of Emma getting in touch with me and saying, "Well, we can have 7 days in a chateau in France," because putting myself in debt to her for literally $175,000 with all the art that I took from her. It made me work so hard on myself that it freed me from all of the fears I had of money. I discovered I can do this. I even made clients in Denton, Texas. People that would come in my gallery, they would come from Austin and other places and buy art from me. And it showed me that I could do this. And I'll never forget the first time I, met her. I had to go up there and do this deal with her. I spent 3/4 of the day in the gallery with her. She was making me crazy. Every price was too high. Everything was beyond belief. And I finally just shrugged my shoulders and said, "I can't do this." I said, "This is impossible." So I taught a meditation class in the city that night at a friend of mine's apartment. And in the meditation class, Rudi came to me and he said, bring my mother a bottle of scotch. And the next morning, I said, okay. I went out and bought, I knew she liked Chivas Regal, his mother. So I went out and bought her a fifth of Chivas Regal. I went down to her gallery. I gave her the fifth of Chivas Regal, and the entire energy changed. All the prices went down by 50%. Everything changed. She made me lunch. We had a raucously great time there, and a bottle of scotch got me in the Asian art business. Being hinted at it by I'll never bring my mother a bottle of scotch. And the Asian art business enabled me to move out of Denton, Texas, and set up a gallery in New York. It looked like I was in business there for 20 years. And his mother, tough as nails, but inside herself, she was a sweetheart. There was something wonderful in there. And Rudi connected with that and was capable of forgiving her all of that stuff that she had done to him. And he grew enormously. He said, I couldn't pay a therapist, told me this, $1,000 an hour to do for me what my mother does in 5 minutes, pointing out exactly what's wrong with me. He said, I couldn't pay a therapist $1,000 an hour to do that. And he loved her. And I was in awe when I used to watch the way he treated her, and he used to tell me the stories of what she did. It made him into something extraordinary. He forgave her 1,000% for kicking him down a flight of steps, for making him crazy. She was, as they say, she was tough as hell. She was a mafia girl. I think she used to dance at the Copacabana, some nightclub in New York that was run by the mafia, Forgave her, made him grow. Said, I can forgive her. I can forgive anybody. And I can get closer and closer to God through learning the true meaning of forgiveness. Not something that's lip service, but something that you do from the center of your heart. So it was an amazing thing for me to see. I was in awe because I knew how tough she was. And then when he passed on, she used to call me up, Ray, trying to make sure that I'm okay. I was living in Texas at the time, about all these people that were supposed to be disciples, and they were all full of shit, and they were robbing her and doing all kinds of stupid things, stealing art. And she used to call me up, don't have anything to do with it. I said, Ray, I know. I said, Ray, that's why Rudi asked me to move to Texas. So I won't have anything to do with those people. So it was really, there was a sweetness in her. There was a soft spot in her. There was a spirituality in her that Rudi was able to touch. And I became a big benefit of that. When I would go back to New York, she always let me stay in Rudi's apartment. I was the only one that she allowed to stay there. And she had told me, she said, Stuart, I shouldn't tell you this, Rudi didn't tell me this, but she told me when I was store sitting with her, when Rudi was in India, and I would go down there and I would sit with her, spend time with her just to be like protection for her in the store. And she told me, she said, Stuart, I shouldn't tell you this. He said, Rudi told me the day he met you, he came and said, Ma, I think I found somebody that I can pass my teachings on to. Now, Rudi didn't tell me this. His mother told me this. And I sat there and I looked at her. It brought tears to my eyes. So here was a woman who was tough as nails. And yet he found that seed of God in her, that sweetness in her, that area in her where she was kind and wonderful. And he tapped that and he nurtured it, changed her, transformed her. That to me is a big person. That to me is somebody who truly is a servant of God in this world. And for me to see that and be part of that And to watch the way that manifested in his life, I mean, it was such an education for me. And how did he do it? He went to God. He went up in himself, connected with higher energy, built a system that made him capable of doing that. And he allowed that forgiveness to come through him and nurture his mother and everyone else who studied with him. It was amazing to see, amazing to share with you all, to understand how deep one has to go in themselves, you know, and how connected one has to be in spirit to learn the fine art of forgiveness in this world. And forgiveness enables you to work out your karma, to be able to get free of why you were born on the earth. And that's to learn how to forgive all of these people and yourself for all the things they have done to us and we have done to ourselves. My God, I wasn't going to talk about this, but thank you, Lisa. It was incredible what you brought out of me. Thank you. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
Stuart, can I just reaffirm, it's really striking me that perhaps we don't need other people to love us.
Yes.
That we can take love from a higher energy and then we can love them instead.
We need, other people need us to love them. We need to love other people. All of this is impossible unless a person connects with higher energy in the universe. And love will never be unconditional. Please please don't eat. Don't eat. You know, wait 10 minutes, okay? Then you can stuff yourself all you want till the class is over. Anyway, yes. And I learned how to do that just working on myself, building a chakra system that connected me to spirit, that enabled me to learn the fine art of forgiveness unconditionally with my mother, my father, my, you know, ex-wife, you know, my, you know, people I've been involved with, my daughter, everyone. It came about through using all of the things that I saw, the injustices that went on, and finding a way to use them so that I can go deep enough inside myself to learn how to forgive. And that transformed my life. As I always say to you all, and I'll just finish this up, the only person that any of us is really up against in life is ourselves. You manage to master the chaos inside yourself, open your heart, live that way, and you know, you've managed it because you've connected with a spiritual force that enables you to do that, something that's very powerful, that transforms us inside ourselves. and gives us the ability to forgive all the injustices that have ever been done to it. I mean, if people would learn to do this in the political world, I mean, there would be no more, everybody is right. And everybody is out to get everybody else because they want power. It's so stupid. And this goes on forever because people don't have a system inside that says, okay, I'd rather be wrong. I want to forgive these people and learn what they have to teach me. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
Stuart?
Yes, Larry.
Can you talk about tapping into the energy of the holidays coming up this week as a step to our personal freedom?
I mean, look, I'm not a theologian, I can only tell you that the Passover, Easter, look, it's all about resurrection. This meditation is all about resurrection. Christ coming back from the dead. Please try and sit still. It's all about resurrection. This meditation is about death and rebirth. It's about transforming your inner self, undergoing a profound rebirth, because you're taking spiritual inner energy in God, whatever you want to call it, and it transforms your whole inner life and allows you to undergo a state of rebirth. The Passover, the coming out of slavery. Mainly people are slaves to themselves. And we have to get free of that slavery. I mean, all those plagues and everything else that went on, it's all that stuff that goes on inside people. We are a living example of plague, most people. Mostly because we don't do enough work on ourselves to connect with spirit. I mean, all of that stuff is metaphorical for what it takes to truly become an enlightened person. I always kid around and say, look, if you really need these classes, if you really need anything, the universe will work to make sure that you get it. If somebody really needs a spiritual life and they really want to come to these classes because it's helping them to grow, I mean, the universe will make sure they come. And there'll be no excuses. And that's not only what I teach, it's what anybody teaches. And the excuses will disappear. I got this, and I know it because it happened in my own life. I used to have to work and all of a sudden the whole energy changed when I needed to be in Rudi's meditation classes. And suddenly it all opened up for me. And it never ceased from that moment. It was like the Red Sea parting. And suddenly you're coming out of slavery, out of Egypt. So these holidays, I think, are very profound, And I'm not a religious person, but what they talk about in the books and where all this is written is spiritual enlightenment. Becoming one with God, getting free of this kind of slavery that we keep ourselves bound in. We all make slaves out of ourselves. And again, I'm not a theologian. I talk about this only through my own interpretation. But I used to have rabbis years ago, it's true, people that studied in seminaries, they would call me up to get my interpretation of the Bible. And I would give it to them. And they would say, nobody ever taught us this in the seminaries. I mean, it was really true. I used to have a rabbi student in Cincinnati who used to call me up all the time. Tell me what you think. What meaning is there in this line in the Bible? And I would just do it out of my own experience. So I think these holidays are, to me, metaphorical. As I say, I'm not a religious person. you know, and they're metaphorical for the struggle inside every human being to truly free themselves of the slavery that they keep themselves in.
Thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome. Does anyone else have a question? So I'll just finish. I'll repeat what I started this, session with. Emma and her husband, Emma, who's not here anymore, and her husband found, they have a chateau where they live. They don't own the chateau. And the people in the chateau made it available for us to have 7 days there, basically free. The only thing that has to be paid for is the sheets. So if you use the sheets for 7 days, it costs 15 euro. That's what it costs to be there. If you use them every day, then it's 15 euros a day. You have them changed every day. So I think it's kind of a miracle, and it's something extraordinary. And the place is, I think, right near Versailles, and it's about an hour from Paris. And I think if people want to attend this, they should get in touch. I'm going to ask Jennifer to handle this. She does a great job of doing these kind of things. And get in touch with her and get all the specifics, and we'll do it won't be a retreat. It'll be, having like 2 classes a day for 7 days for people that attend. There's a kitchen, there can be communal meals. It's going to be very inexpensive to do this. So if you want to attend and you want to come for this, I mean, this just fell out of the sky. I didn't, it just was one of these things that happened. And I am very grateful, and I certainly will be there to do this. People can come from Israel, it's not that far, all over Europe, in the United States if they want to come. I know when I get back on the 10th of August is my birthday, and I'm going to be doing a retreat here, where I live. So there's going to be a lot going on this summer. There's another retreat in June. There's already 5 people that have signed up. Having another retreat in a couple of weeks here. So, I mean, I keep asking for more, and they're sending me more. It's really amazing. I want to grow. I want to get stronger. I want to continue my spiritual development. How else am I going to do it? By taking on all this responsibility. So if you'd like to attend any of these things, let me know, let Jennifer know, and, we will hopefully make it possible for everyone to do all this. So God bless you all. Thank you. And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody on Thursday, and have a wonderful weekend. We're having a wonderful week. And again, bless you all. I mean, you are making me grow, and I have eternal gratitude to each and every one of you. Thank you. Bless you.
Thank you. Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you, Stuart.
Bye.